Bonjour, bonjour. Thank you for pressing play on my third reportage from southwest France, where quite frankly, nothing's happening. There is talk, however, of getting the kids back to school from the 11th of May. The parents, however, seem reluctant. The media having relentlessly told them that their children can contract this virus at any time and drop dead, or they can contract the virus and bring it home and infect the rest of the family. So, understandably, the parents are spooked. The teachers are spooked as well, and they don't want to go back to work and are organising to strike from the 11th. So, any chance of getting back to any kind of normal life is looking like a distant dream. This fear genie, it seems, cannot be put back in the bottle. However, I don't know, maybe people have got short memories, and maybe if the media just absolutely stopped tomorrow, people will begin to forget and start to get back to normal. But I can't see that happening. So, onwards, I wanted to discuss with you today stay home, save lives, save the NHS. Now, these are, as I discussed before, in fact, slogans and mantras, and they've been rolled out across the world, including here in France. It's absolutely no different. They're implanted by the media and the government to alter your behaviour, and they're not meant to be questioned. So, what happens if we wake from the fear trance and start asking questions? Is that disrespectful to the ill, to the dead, and to the healthcare workers? Has it become socially unacceptable, and is it in fact dangerous? Well, I don't think so, and I'm going to go through that with you now. So the obvious question is, does staying at home save lives? First, we have to think about the inverse of that situation, which would be if you go out, if you leave your home, you are in fact a danger to society and putting lives in danger. This is a very dangerous path to go down because it actually makes your body a weapon to be controlled by the state. They will find you infected with a virus, bearing in mind there are 380 trillion viruses in the human verome. So they could just pick one with one of their pseudoscience techniques, and they will be able to incarcerate you, medicate you, and deny you access to society. This is utter tyranny, medical tyranny, and scientific tyranny, and it completely stomps over our human rights, which should be that our body is sovereign, as in it is you who decides when and by whom your body is tested and what gets put into your body in terms of medication. So that's the first point I'd say about stay home. Secondly, as discussed in my first video, this epidemic seems to be a media construction. Now, nobody really challenged me or argued with me about that. And what I mean is that the construction by the media does not correlate whatsoever with what's happening in our actual real lives, apart from if you're a healthcare worker, obviously. So are we just assuming that staying at home is somewhere saving the life of someone? Is that fact provable or evidential? Well, we have actually real world data, and we've had it from the beginning. And as any epidemiologist will tell you, viruses are absolutely predictable. They behave in a very normal way. They don't all behave the same, but once a virus gets going, it's very easy to predict what it's going to do, and your government knew this. The data has been tracked from the beginning, and from the beginning you can project the trajectory of that contagion. And it is a provable fact that that contagion has not deviated from its path whatsoever since lockdown. As in, lockdown has done nothing to stop the spread of the contagion. So if it hasn't stopped the spread, then how is it saving lives? The death rates, the virus behaves the same in every country. That can be tracked by the data, but the death rates are completely different. That is another issue, and it really needs to be looked at because it's very strange. So the death rates are very different, but the virus behaves in exactly the same way, lockdown or no lockdown. So no lives saved there, apparently. So what is actually staying at home achieving? You might hope that it is saving lives, and you might even think that it's doing some good somewhere, as in you're getting a break from the daily grind, or you're having more family time, or even you think maybe a better society can emerge from this complete shutdown. However, I would ask you to spare a thought for the people who are really suffering, and there are people really suffering all over the world. Try living in Albania right now, for example. Every tin pot dictator is taking full advantage of this situation, and I would say that we are living in a social experiment. This experiment is untested and unknown, and it's never done before. It's based on no science whatsoever, and we are having to live through it. However, what is very well known is that solitary confinement, or indeed any kind of forced confinement, is a form of torture and punishment. There are people, obviously lots of people, with mental problems. There are lots of people with autism, who are lonely, many problems which will be compounded by this shutdown of society, where there is now a lack of all normal support structures. There is a lack of all the normal social structures. They are denied basic human contact. I know we have technology, but it doesn't replace the things that we need. We are not virtual beings. Now, all of this is going to result in some serious health problems, mental health problems, and physical problems, and problems generally in society. Your government and you know that stress is a number one killer. Depression is also a killer, and poverty certainly is a killer. That will bring the death rate up. The continued poverty will cause continued depression and continued death rates. This experiment is barbaric, and it will cost many lives. Will they ever be counted? They may be counted as COVID deaths, or they may not. They may just be ignored. There are many ways to die, and COVID is just one small reason in a very long list of things that can kill us. And all we're doing here is actually prioritising one illness over many others. So everyone else is actually denied access to healthcare because they are either too terrified to go and access their healthcare, or they feel too guilty to take up valuable time and resources to get the care they need. And this is going to result in more death and destruction. Sorry, my notes have fallen down. So if we're not saving lives, could we then comfort ourselves with the fact that we may be saving the NHS? Are we saving the NHS? The idea in the beginning was to not have 500,000 people become ill and die all at the same time, obviously. However, that projection was so ridiculous. It exaggerated the real world data that we had to go on at the time by over 170 times. So it was, in fact, a lie. It was scaled back very quickly to around the same size as a normal winter epidemic. Now, that was not scaled back due to lockdown. There is no provable data. The data proves absolutely the opposite, as I just explained. So, any normal epidemic would, in fact, put the NHS under tremendous pressure and strain, which it has done in the past. And this, of course, needs to be dealt with.